The John in this story is better known as Johnny Cash. And the wilderness that he would go out to was our prisons. And he's famous, of course, for recording live at Folsom Prison. I think that was 1968. And then the next year he recorded another album live at San Quentin Prison. But a decade before all this is in the late 50s, before he kind of cut albums in prisons, Johnny Cash would just go out to the prisons and just play for the prisoners, bringing them hope, letting them know that they were not forgotten. And so on, this is, I think, New Year's Day in 1958 and in 1959, Johnny Cash played in San Quentin. And at one, maybe both of these shows, there was a young man out there in the audience. And this young man had spent his younger days, his youth, kind of in and out of juvenile detention for like all kinds of petty crimes. And then eventually he was arrested for robbery. He ended up in prison, and he turned 21 in prison. And when he saw Johnny Cash come and play on stage with his guitar and his swagger and a band behind him, he had a change of heart. And he decided to live a different life. In this man's 2002 autobiography, he wrote about how he just kind of kept on getting in trouble in San Quentin. And he said this, seeing Johnny Cash encouraged me to say, you know what, okay, I need to grow up and get my act together. Turns out that this man also used to play the guitar a little bit. And so when he got out of prison, he picked it up again, and he devoted his life to music. This man was Merle Haggard. Turns out that John R. Cash helped bring about his repentance by his songs, by his words, by his deeds. He didn't even know it until years later, really. And that's a good story, but it gets better. His story continues, actually. It turns out that Johnny Cash would not only help him with his repentance, he would help Merle Haggard with his forgiveness. So Merle Haggard's prison time back then, it wasn't a secret, but it wasn't something he talked about. It was a past that Merle Haggard was ashamed of. And this went on for years. You know, his career was taken off, but he had this past. And you may remember how Johnny Cash had his own television show on ABC, Johnny Cash Show, where he'd bring on musical guests. And so he had Merle Haggard on the show. And the way the story goes is, this is like backstage just before the show. Merle told Johnny about seeing him play in the prison. And Johnny's like, I don't remember. And he was like, I was in the audience. He said to Johnny, I'm ashamed of my past. And Johnny Cash said, well, we're going to end it tonight. We're going to go out there on national TV. We're going to tell your story. And he said, you just leave the rest to me. This is all going to work out. And that's what they did. They told the story. And according to the Washington Post, ABC actually got letters from angry viewers who were upset that an ex-con had been on the air. They wanted to kind of, I guess, sanitize a Johnny Cash show. But this whole appearance that night, it was a huge success. And their being honest about Merle's past, it boosted his career. Merle Haggard was now somebody that people could relate to in their struggles. And he became kind of this national icon, a poet of the common person. This is what happened when John went out to the wilderness and changed hearts and lives and proclaimed forgiveness to sinners. And this changing of hearts and lives and forgiveness didn't just happen once a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And this change of forgiveness did not originate with emperors or governors or rulers or high priests. It starts with you.